Never seen a lame man walk. Never heard a dumb man talk. Never seen a blind man see. I promise you will change his name. Never seen a cancer dead. Never seen all the poor get fed. Never seen a prisoner set free. I promise you will change his name. Broken heart made whole. Never seen an orphan find a home. Never seen the weak find the strength. I promise you will change his name.
All right. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. It is time once again for your favorite not so skinny fellas, Big C and Bigger T. It's the Big C and Bigger T podcast coming at you in your face, in your grill, in your grizzle, with all of our knowledge and entertainment we can muster up, because that's who we are.
We learn it all. We study hard through the week.
That's right.
We scour Twitter. We scour Facebook for information to give to you, the people.
The people.
I can't do that. I can't say you, the people, without doing bang. Oh, the people. It's a terrible bang, but it sounded good in my head.
It's close enough.
It's not good. It's not
Clint,
good.
how in the wide world of sports are you?
Man, I tell you what, I don't know. I've been really confused by what's going on. I don't know which way. I always say I'm doing fantastic, but I'll tell you what, your boy's confused.
We got a lot to talk about today.
There is a lot to unpack today.
Show prep was pretty easy.
It was easy. It's like it wrote itself. It's like, it did. It's like, hey, you're like, are they? I wonder if Big C and Bigger T are going to talk about it. I'm not even sure what it is, but you all know what it is.
You know what it is.
You know what it is.
We'll get there.
And of course, we're going to talk about it.
Of course we are. Well, before we do that, we got to talk about, as we do every week,
right,
our Holy Shnikes moment.
Wow.
And you had a pretty good one. You texted me
and
the other day.
I don't remember the kid's name. I think he's a 13, 14-year-old from Georgia.
Yeah.
Offensive lineman. He basically put a billboard in Northwest Arkansas to say, yo,
on I-49.
Hey, Pittman, I'm your guy. And then, well, that's not the Holy Shnikes moment. The Holy Shnikes moment is some 45-year-old who says he's got a year of eligibility left, put a billboard like right down Razorback Road and said, hey, Pittman, hey. I mean, sure, it's got my face on it, but that's
right. That's right.
I can't back up. I'm too cheap to pay for a billboard, and I don't have any eligibility left.
What do you think about a kid that puts a billboard up, trying to get a coach to recruit?
You know, and I told you this, I don't want to come across like I'm bad mouthing the kid.
No,
but if you're good enough, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
It just, the long and short of it is like, I could put all the billboards up I want. I wasn't gonna have the University of Arkansas coming to offer.
Danny Ford wasn't coming to offer.
No, Danny Ford wasn't coming to offer me. No other Power 5 coach in their right mind was coming to offer me.
If you would have talked about your grandpa having cows, though, he might have.
He might have.
Because you could have been Greenbrier's version of Don Strubing.
I could.
The cattle.
Look, I didn't have the
cattle farmer.
You know, and I always say this when we play basketball. If I describe my basketball game as I'm Shaquille O'Neal without the talent baggage, you know, the only thing me and Shaquille O'Neal have in common is the way we shoot free throws, y'all.
That's right.
So it's just, but yeah, man, it's cool that the kids want to get their name out there, and his dad's a coach, and he's been telling kids all along, get creative in recruiting. I it's like these recruiting services. If you're a marginal talent, it does help you, I think.
Yeah.
Get your name out there. It's maybe some of these coaches will look at it, but honest to goodness, if you're a good enough ball player, they're going to find you, and they're going to find you.
Yeah, and that's the way I think. I mean, hey, good for the kid.
Yeah, no, I'm not making
you
fun
have
of it.
You have the initiative to try, but now let's go prove it on the field, homeboy.
Yeah. You got
Get out there.
I'm more concerned.
You've shown him something. You've shown him the gusto. You've shown the initiative. You showed what you want. Now let's go put some tape together, and that's what he's going to have to do. But hey, good on him, man.
Yeah, no, and it does feel good to be wanted. At least if nothing else,
right.
You have offensive linemen that are being like, "Ooh, I want to play for Pittman."
That's the other thing. It's a young kid from Georgia. When you were 13, did you know the offensive line coach for Arkansas?
No, I didn't know.
I had no idea. And this kid knew the offensive line coach for Georgia.
Yeah.
And knows him a couple years later when he's the head coach at Arkansas. So, and knows him well enough to know that's a guy I want to play for. That's pretty cool. So anyway, that's a great Holy Snikes moment. I don't necessarily have a Holy Snikes moment this week, but I have been watching a lot of or not a lot. I don't want to lie to everybody. I've been watching little snippets of the Olympics.
Yeah.
They got started this week. And Clint, I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any of the Olympic sports that you would say you were sneakily good at that we wouldn't expect for you to be good at?
I'm not a bad volleyball
or that you
player.
really enjoy playing.
I'm not a bad volleyball player. I'm not. I played, we played intramural volleyball, and I think you were on my team. And we were surprisingly pretty good. I'm actually pretty good at badminton. Now, there is one thing, and I know you're going to get to what you're surprisingly good at. I actually won at one of the semesters I went to Central Baptist College. I actually won intramurals and doubles. My partner beat me in the finals of the of singles.
In badminton?
In badminton, yes.
Yeah.
I only ever played intramural volleyball. I don't know if there's such a thing. I did enjoy going to the volleyball games at Arkansas Tech, but that's for another reason that we won't get into on this podcast. But there's something that grinded my gear about the Olympics, Travis, and I just want to get this out because it's hurting.
Okay.
I don't know what the budget is of the Olympics. I'm thinking it's $50 billion gajillion. At no point in that budget could they find the energy to change the signage from Tokyo 2020. I get it. It got delayed a year because of COVID. It was awful. Just get you a little patch.
White duct tape or something. Some white duct tape or something, yeah.
I mean, I sit there watching the U.S. Olympic basketball team lose because they need Carmelo Anthony. He's the answer.
More than likely, yeah.
Like, save us, Carmelo, somebody. But they sit there, and I'm like, it says 2020. Like, I'm watching a rerun. We're watching a rerun.
Yeah.
Come on, stop it. Stop it.
Okay. Well, my sport that I was sneakily good at in college, I was a phys ed minor.
Because fitness is your passion.
Yes, yeah. And so, I wanted, look, sports, coaching, and the Bible were my two favorite things. So that's what I studied in college. And so I had to take classes for like activity classes, but you would have to take them for majors. So you'd have to learn them a little better and stuff like that. And you had mostly other people that were going in to be coaches or whatever. Well, I took tennis and badminton. I was actually a pretty good tennis player back in the day. I took tennis lessons as a kid before I moved to Greenbrier. And part of that was because it was a blonde-headed girl named Shelly. But anyway, there was other reasons. My dad played tennis, and so I'd go down and play tennis with him a lot. But then I started playing badminton. I was like, man, this is fun, because I'd always played badminton with the janky, what I'm talking about, like the janky poles that you know, you put the ropes down, but it's still, you know, it's sagging real bad, and you got the crappy rackets that are horrible with holes in them that the shuttlecock gets stuck in them if you hit it too hard. You know what I'm talking about. I mean, they're just horrible, right? And so that's what I was used to, right? And I thought, who would ever play this for fun? Right. Well, at Ouachita, we had the court laid out with like the nice, you know, like the way they have volleyball, you know, with the big nice poles and nets. And learned how to serve and learned how to use the arc of the shuttlecock to you know, do things, and slamming it, getting it going fast and everything. And man, I got pretty good. As a matter of fact, my coach that taught it was Bill Vining, who was he's a longtime basketball coach at OBU. He was the arena there is named after him. Well, he had never been beat in singles or doubles ever in like 50 years of coaching badminton. And like he was coming back, he had already retired and was coming back and still coaching it and still had never been beat. Well, I had my partner for doubles for the tournament that year was a girl that's a volleyball player, and she was really good. Me and her worked well together. His partner was TJ Bingham, who played defensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs. TJ Bingham was about 6'2", 6'3", 230 pounds, and could like ran a 4.5, could jump like a beast. So he would just control the front, and Coach Vining would just hang out in the back, right? Well, and get anything that TJ missed. We beat him. First person to ever beat, the only person to ever beat Bill Vining.
They probably were scared to spike it because you had a little volleyball girl on your team.
She wasn't little. She was tall, but
she was tall. Okay,
well, she was good.
You don't want to spike it on a volleyball player. It's probably TJ Bingham's probably over there weekend after like, hey girl.
No, TJ was a beast, man.
Yeah,
he didn't make it to the NFL because he wasn't competitive. I promise you.
Yeah.
Now here's the part that I'd tell later. Coach Vining had just lost sight in one of his eyes. So depth perception was an issue. And I was pretty good at pounding that back line. So the points we got on him was me hitting it deep and him just missing it because his depth perception was off.
Right. Yeah.
So what if he was retirement age? I still beat the unbeatable.
You did.
I beat the unbeatable. And therefore, I should probably be in Tokyo right now.
You should be. Matter
of
fact, we're going to go. I don't know where the next one is. I don't know where 2024 or 2025 is, but me and you, doubles badminton.
That's right. Here we go. We'll take
your boys. Your boys going to the Olympics. They're going to put us. They're going to put Kaylee Bounding signs up about me and you.
That's
all
right.
over Greenbrier.
And let me just. You mentioned this a while ago. Let me just give it a big. This is something else that we may do time to time. I just like to say it because it's fun. I'm going to give a big piece of advice to everybody out there. You ready?
Ready.
Stop it. Stop. You stop it. You people out there, you people that keep comparing this basketball team in the Olympics to the dream team. Stop it. They are not the dream team. Larry Bird is not walking through that door.
Neither is Clyde Drexler or Chris Mullin.
Clyde Drexler is not Chris Mullin. Not even.
It's flat top somewhere else. He ain't got time for y'all.
Those guys were special. And here's the other thing. Clint, don't you think foreign basketball, I mean, countries other than America, the basketball has improved?
Oh, no.
Since
and that's a lot. Part of it is most of them guys don't care because there's no money in it. But the other part is the rest of the world's caught up with us in basketball.
Clint, we got coaches that are being hired in the NBA from European teams or former Soviet teams that are coaching over there.
Yeah.
Look, when the Dream Team played, it was Tony Kukoc. That was about it. That was about it. You know, just France had Rudy Gobert yesterday to beat them, or the day before yesterday, whenever that was. Man, it's just stop it, people. Stop it. It's a whole new world. This is like, it's like, I don't know. It's a whole new world of basketball. They're playing against a different level.
Yeah.
The teams are much better, and those teams are playing with each other they're used to playing together. They're practicing longer. America had 3 players that just showed up right before the game the other day and played in the game.
Yeah.
Booker and what's the dude from the Bucks?
Middleton and Howard.
Yeah. I mean, they just showed up right before the game.
Oh, it's Holiday, Drew Holiday.
Holiday. That's it. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Now, Clint, here's the other big thing, and this is the story that's total out there. We talked about one of these things. I've not heard about it. Oh, well, this will be new to you. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Apparently, there's a school named the Oklahoma Sooners and the Texas Longhorns. Yes, I'm doing the horns down.
The flag.
Go ahead, cry about it.
Flag, yellow flag.
Anyway, they have told the Big 12, we're done. We're out. We don't want no more, y'all. Bye, Felicia. We're done. And apparently, if everything holds true, they're going to jump in the party with the SEC. That's the Southeastern Conference, for those of y'all that don't hobble our NCAA.
And I actually heard on the buzz this morning, I believe it was John Neighbors said it could be as soon as next year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I think their contract's up this year or something. Or
I don't know. I know TV deals. You got to wonder about that. The Longhorn Network.
Well, I think they're gonna have to pay a payout.
Yeah.
I've heard like $60 million or something like that.
Now, I did see, I sent this article to you and Wesley. I did see that they're saying that the total revenue right now, pure SEC school, the way it sits, they bring in $44 million a year.
Yeah.
With Texas and Oklahoma added, they're going to bring in $60 million a year. That is why when they go to vote, the SEC, as it sits right now, it is going to be a 13-1 vote on bringing both teams in. Yeah. I think it's going to be 14-0 on Oklahoma and 13-1 on Texas.
What do you think, Texas A&M? Are they saying Texas A&M?
Texas A&M is going to vote against it.
If I remember right, when Texas A&M came in, one of their things was they didn't want the SEC ever to reach out to Texas.
Right. And that, this was kind of a little bit further down on the thing, but how salty is Texas A&M right now?
Oh yeah.
I mean, they've got to be pretty spicy because the Longhorn Network, number one, should have never happened. It should have done a Big 12 network, if nothing else.
Yeah. For
Texas to have their own network, that'd be a slap in the face to me. And A&M, they basically want to get away from Texas.
Yeah.
Which I think is one of the reasons that pod concept that we're getting to a little bit later was really interesting. Let me ask you this.
What they wanted was they were losing recruits to SEC schools. A&M was. Just like Texas was.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Arkansas was getting a few more recruits just because teams wanted to play in the SEC.
Yeah.
When A&M came in, if you notice, the recruiting numbers in Texas went down for Arkansas because now they could stay home and still play in the SEC. Now that they have competition. and they got a bigger school with more money, especially with NIL. Now A&M's got lots of money, and I don't want to say that too flippantly. Texas A&M is one of the few teams that can compete money wise with Texas.
Yeah.
However, they're still a little brother to Texas.
So
now, what are the positives for Texas and Oklahoma?
And that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think this is a good idea for Oklahoma and Texas? Well, here's the thing. I think, number one, revenue-wise, it is a good idea because revenue is going to go up. They're also expanding the playoffs, so that's going to help. You're not going to get beat up. Now, if your goal is to win national championships, I've not seen a Big 12 team do anything in the playoffs other than give up a bunch of points. I think they're thinking the level of defensive players they will recruit, like, hey, we're already recruiting offense.
Yeah.
If we pick up a recruiting on defense by being in the SEC, a lot of these defensive linemen that want to go to Alabama will maybe now stay home in Texas. So I think it's a great idea for both of them to jump. Now, I'm going to say this. I do think if Texas was the SEC, if they were the SEC West the way it stands, you just take Arkansas out, put them in. This year, I think they may be at best the fourth best team in the SEC West. They're not as good as – I don't think they're as good as A&M.
No.
They're definitely not as good as Bama. And I don't know if they'll beat LSU. I don't know if they'll beat Auburn. And I think
Oklahoma may be up there.
Yeah, I think everybody was pretty excited about Oklahoma. I think if you talk to maybe a lot of, like, if they would have been bringing in Oklahoma, OSU, I think it may even be a 14-0 vote. I think it's brought in the Oklahoma schools. Now
here's the other thing for the rest of the country that complains about SEC having too many teams in the playoffs. With this new 12-team playoff system, they're saying the number one team in the conference is going to get in, right? So,
right.
Because you're guaranteed your conference winner, your conference championship winner. Then you're going to get your second. And look at the rankings in the past. Okay, and a second SEC team has gotten in the playoffs before. Okay, so they're going to be number 6 if you get your top 5. If you get your top 5 in, right? Your 5 major conferences, your Power 5. So you're going to get 5 in. Number 6 is probably going to be an SEC team, and then you're probably going to get another SEC team in that top 12. So you're going to be seeing 3 SEC teams in the playoffs almost every year.
Yeah, and I do, and one of the things that I had on the outline that we want to talk about was what does division realignment look like? And now I'm going to share these. I'll share these kind of on the page of what we're looking at. Now there's 2 different scenarios, and the most obvious scenario, most of us think, okay, put Missouri in the West where they belong, and then add Texas and Oklahoma, and then move Alabama, Auburn to the West. The other interesting thing I did was like
to the east.
Yeah, I mean to the east. Yeah, Auburn, Alabama will be to the east.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because I think, to me, that makes the most sense right away.
Yeah,
of what will happen. So in the SEC West, you'd have Texas, A&M, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, LSU, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Missouri. And in the East, you would have Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, Auburn, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, and Tennessee.
Now, here's what's interesting about that to me is really, if you look at that in the West, the way the West is going to be, there's one true SEC blue blood football team there, LSU. That's it.
In the
SEC West, in the West, in the new West. Like, I mean, LSU's
Yeah.
the only blue blood. We're on the other side. You got Florida, who I'd say is a football blue blood in the SEC, Alabama, Georgia.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
I would say you're going to put Oklahoma, Texas, and A&M are right there close to Florida, Georgia.
the three best Big 12 schools.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, we're going to have to see how they do in the SEC, how Texas does. But
I do think, and you got to think
still
about,
pretty even if they continue on upward.
You got to think if Texas wasn't, I mean, obviously, if this didn't fire into the thinking and firing Herman too, Tom Herman, and bringing in Skarskisian, somebody who's got SEC experience to be the head coach.
Yeah.
Now the pod thing's interesting to me too, because
this is kind of weird.
Yeah, basically what they're going to do, they'll do 4 14 pods. And one pod is going to be Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, South Carolina, Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee,
Vandy.
Yeah, I mean, and Vandy, LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and A&M, and then Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas. That's interesting. You play you play all 3 teams in your pod every year. So you play Oklahoma, Texas, and Missouri every year. And then you play 2 games against all the other pods. So that's a 9-game schedule, and I'm assuming 3 non-conference games.
Clint, those pods, all that is the NFL.
Yeah.
In the NFL, you play, of course, they play more games, right? So you play the teams in your division twice. You have your divisions, which is 4 teams per division. And then you have another division that you're matched up in for that year. So you play every team in that division. That's the same. They're going to do. I mean, it's the same thing the NFL does. These pods, that's exactly what. Except you're not playing double. You're just playing single.
And
you're crossing over with a couple others,
Yeah.
But yeah,
and I think if they do that, they'll get rid of the divisions. There'll be no divisions. I don't know if there'll be. What they may do then is just say, okay, the top 2 teams playing the 2 best records, and they'll probably have a bunch of obscure tiebreakers. So you could have Alabama, Auburn in the SEC championship game. You could have Georgia, Florida in the SEC title game.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way I think and I don't think it's a terrible idea, because you just play. I mean, they'll have to, like, one year you'll play Georgia, Florida, and the next year you play the other 2 schools, Kentucky and whoever else it was.
Now for Arkansas, it really makes it tougher. I don't think it changes a ton because we've already, how many kids do we get from Oklahoma that just want to come to us because they want to be in the SEC and they pick us over Oklahoma? It's not that many. It may be 1 or 2 every 5 years, Now, you may get some that Oklahoma doesn't go after.
Right.
But that's going to happen no matter what. When A&M came in, it already hurt us in Texas because we were the close to home option, especially for the Metroplex. We were the close to home option, and players could play in the SEC. But I think what it does, I think in some positive ways, man, it brings back some real rivalries. I mean, because I really hate Texas.
I do too.
I really do. I really don't like Oklahoma. I don't like them. I appreciated Stoops for who he was, but man, I just didn't like looking at him, So I think I like some of this alignment. I think it has natural bordering state rivalries. I mean, I don't like Alabama, but I don't hate Alabama.
No.
I hate LSU, but I don't hate Alabama. I'm beginning to hate Missouri.
Yeah.
They're starting to,
Arkansas and Missouri started developing a nice rivalry. We need to beat them. We got
because we keep getting our butts kicked, man. That's why. But yeah. So what do you think? What do you think it means to Arkansas?
I think it's going to hurt recruiting in Texas, especially if you're going after a kid that Texas is going after.
And that problem is there's so many good players in Texas.
There are, and Texas can't. It may, in a roundabout way, it may help us. This is kind of having a venture into another bullet point here, because I'll be honest with you, I think the rest of the Big 12 is screwed. I really do. Okay. So that leaves in Texas, you got TCU, Texas Tech, Baylor. In this one scenario that I looked at, and it had some conference realignment, they have TCU and Texas Tech both going to the Pac-16. It's Pac-12 now.
Well, you still got in the Big 12, you still got Iowa State, who's doing good. You got Kansas State, Kansas. In basketball, they're wanted, I guess. Got Oklahoma State. So you still have some teams. They're not the level.
It's not. But this is what they have. The Big 12 is after this exit, and they've got a couple teams that are going to jump to the Big 10, and they got a couple that jumping. They have Colorado State, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Memphis, Cincinnati, Wyoming, Tulsa, and Air Force. That's one division. The other one, they have Houston, South Florida, La Tech, Rice, Baylor, UCF, SMU, and North Texas. That's not a Power 5 conference. It's just not. You could make a case if you put Arkansas in that conference for them to win that conference this year.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're a Power 5 championship team.
And what you're referring to, what Clint's referring to, is another picture that's going around of a future of college football. And I think we need to address that before.
Yeah. And I will share this on our Facebook page, so you guys.
And we'll put it on Twitter and stuff like that too. But what I think is happening, and what a lot of people have said is going to happen, is the fall of the NCAA. And this, Texas and Oklahoma is doing, is the beginning of the end. We're wondering what end times are going to look like, the signs of the apocalypse. This is it, folks. This is your sign of the apocalypse. Texas and them moving over is going to create a super conference in the SEC. In order to compete, the other ones are going to have to do the same thing. So you're going to have, like Clint said, the Big 12 and the Pac-12 leftovers joining up together. You're going to have the Big 10 and ACC group. Isn't that how they had it? Kind of joining up together. No, I'm sorry. They got a Big 16. Sorry. What they did was they put an ACC. They got Virginia Tech, Notre Dame coming out of Independent, West Virginia, which we talked about. Clint had put on our deal about talking about them. They're kind of getting left out to dry here.
Yeah, but I mean, because they geographically already don't fit in the Big 12. Now, I have a coworker that's from West Virginia, a big West Virginia fan. He says, look, part of the reason that's held us up from the from the ACC is academics. He goes, we're ranked insanely low. Now, West Virginia can go in there and compete in basketball in any conference in the country. Bob Huggins has got that thing going.
Well, when they went to the Big 12, they went there because the ACC didn't want them.
Yeah.
They didn't have a choice.
But here's the thing. Now there's these super conferences. So if I'm the Big 10 with 12 teams, and I'm the ACC, I'm like, okay, now here's a school,
and what this picture we're reading off of that Clint's going to share with you later. This is just one person's idea of this. Okay, so a Big 16 that's going to have Kansas, Iowa State, Northwestern, Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio State, Rutgers, Indiana, Purdue, Maryland, Penn State, Michigan State. Okay. Then there's the what's this? The one that Clint shared a while ago with. Anyway, what it is, it takes it to 5 different leagues with 16 teams. If they do that, they will say sayonara to the NCAA, I think.
I do too.
What do you need the NCAA for? You don't need them.
Well, they've already proven that they're a failed institution.
Exactly.
They have. I mean, they have failed and they've screwed stuff up along every corner.
Well, the Supreme Court saying that this NIL had to happen. I mean, I think you brought that up a while back.
Oh yeah,
you can't spit in the face
to get them guys to agree.
And so, what's going to happen is you're going to have those big teams, and we yell for. We want the little guy to have a chance. We want parity. No, sir. No, ma'am. We don't have parity anymore. This is the rich getting richer. If you're not in one of those conferences, you don't make the NCAA playoff. Those teams, though, they make it. Now in basketball, since they have 68 teams, I could see them letting in some smaller teams, some smaller conference teams into that. But I think you're going to have a national champion out of those 5 16-team group, and then you're going to have a division below that that's going to have their own national champion.
Yeah, I do too.
This whole idea of this 12-team playoff in order to get teams like Liberty that are playing well one year, sorry, Liberty. You're done. Sorry, Charlotte, or whoever else, if you're not in one of those conferences, sorry, and with the NIL and with this, I'm telling you, that's what's coming. I mean, I may be wrong. I've been wrong once or twice. Something like that is coming. It's because there's been smoke for it for years. I've heard people talk about it for years that they were talking about wanting to do this. Yeah. Different commentators, different people in the know. And now here it is. It's on us.
Well, and with this move, bringing Texas and Oklahoma in, and most people are like, "Oh, cool, Oklahoma, Allen, Texas." Because and I heard I was listening to Marty McGree going to work the other day. They were like, Texas is like that guy that comes over to your barbecue and brings tofu dogs and is like, hey, will you change the station? I don't like this music.
Yeah.
They said that's Texas. That's basically, and Oklahoma's more the guys going to bring brats and hang out.
Yeah.
But basically bringing these two teams in, you have solidified yourself no matter what everybody else does. Name 2 teams that the Big Ten can add that's going to make them equal to the SEC. I mean, the only thing that could come close, and it will not happen in no way, was if the ACC somehow brought in Michigan and Ohio State.
Yeah.
And it's not going to happen. I mean, it's just not.
Yeah. Or the Big Ten brings in Notre Dame, but that's still
Notre Dame brings in Notre Dame and Clemson. That's it. I mean,
and all that is TVs.
Yeah.
I mean, because Notre Dame, I mean, they're
going
to get a lot of
weird. Since we've started this podcast, we're 20 now.
Yeah, we're 20.
We're 20. So this is the Big C Bigger T podcast. The stuff that in just these 20 weeks that we've covered this, the NIL, the game that we love, college football, the Saturday morning tradition. There's people that get up every Saturday. They get up early, they get their cup of coffee, and they watch College Game Day. It has changed as we know it. The game has changed.
It's a whole new world.
I mean, you've got Devo Davis with a Bank OZK in front of a Bank of the Ozarks, posing in front of them. He's sponsoring them. I mean,
you got the quarterback for, like we talked about last week, quarterback for Alabama getting $1 million.
Never started a game.
Treylon Burks got his hunting supplies. You got, Grant Morgan has an agent handling all his deal, but it's a lifetime deal. He did say that. I still don't know who he's got. Have you heard who he's got sponsoring? But he signed something. He had his agent did all the work, and it's apparently some kind of lifetime deal with them or something. I don't know.
I want a lifetime deal at Taco Bell.
You ain't kidding.
I love Taco Bell.
Just give me a Doritos Locos taco a week. We're good. But
wow, I mean, like I said, there was a lot to unpack this week.
Yeah. And this is, and like you said, man, in just these 20 weeks we've been doing this, with this NIL and this realignment thing, I mean, this is going to have massive repercussions, ripples throughout college sports. I mean, college sports as we know it is totally different. And I'll be quite frank with you, folks. There's some of it I don't like. I say a positive guy on here, okay? I don't like the NIL stuff. I'll be honest with you. I don't like it that much. I think you just up the stipend you get per player and leave it at that. There's guys that get stipends. I heard Rick Schaefer say the other day that there was a guy that graduated a couple years ago. He wouldn't say the player's name, but he went in to do all his paperwork to finish, to graduate. They handed him a $20,000 check. The school did. And he's like, "What's this from?" He said, "Well, that's part of your stipend that you never took." These kids get money.
Yeah.
They get stuff paid for. They don't just bring them up there and all of a sudden they live homeless. I mean, now there's been some former players, one I knew of who was a very prominent Razorback player. He lived in government subsidized housing, so he wouldn't have to pay rent because he had zero on his income. And so he got to keep all his money.
It's Matt Jones, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. But couple years later, some Nebraska players got in trouble for it. And there was a big to-do up there. And I was like, Matt was doing that just a couple years ago. But anyway, but I mean, these guys, they, and now sometimes, man, they do come from some tough situations.
Yeah, they do.
And they need some help. Okay. And they don't need to suffer through.
No,
they need to be able to enjoy their college career. I'm just afraid this is going to be the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
And, I think about Grant Morgan, thankfully got an agent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's letting them handle all of it.
All right, Travis.
How many players are not going to do that?
No, there's a lot. A lot of them will be good at keeping up with their taxes. Let me ask this question, and we got to wrap it up. Okay. Do you see a scenario if the SEC does a pod system and they kick because what I can really see is the SEC starting this ball rolling downhill. And whenever it comes time to go, okay, here's what we got: these 4 pods, all 4 of our pod champions get in the playoffs, or we're out.
I can see it.
And what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Say, well, you can't have a national championship without the SEC. We got to do it.
Yeah.
There's 12 teams. We're going to get 4 in, and y'all just got to deal with it.
Yeah.
And if one of them gets an at-large, one of them gets an at-large.
Because whatever they do to replace the NCAA, because there'll have to be something that replaces the NCAA.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a set of rules that all of them agree to go by. That would be the simplest, right? Let's just all have a document. These are the rules. We're all going to go by these rules. If you agree to go by these rules, you can be in this championship division, whatever. The SEC is going to be, y'all can't do this without us.
Yeah. And I guarantee you right now, the Pac-12, the Big Ten, and the ACC are all licking their lips doing this like they're good. And the commissioner of the Big 12's in the shower crying, listening to Air Supply. I'm all out of love.
I'm so lost without you. Yeah. Or man. All by myself. Well, hey, I want to mention something, Clint, and this is serious.
Sure.
That I just feel like I want to say something about it. I got a message today from somebody, and this is totally way seriouser than we talk about normally, but a young lady in her 20s that was a niece of a good friend of mine, she took her life today, and it just had me thinking, when something like that happens. I've known this young lady. I don't know her real well. Okay, I'm not real close to her at all, but I'm closer to her family, and I know the family's close, and I know what they're. I mean, I know they're struggling right now, and I just want to put it out there. Hey, the 20 or so of y'all that are listening to us and paying attention to us, mental illness is a real thing, and I've personally dealt with some depression over the last couple of years, and struggled with some things, and I just want to encourage you, talk to somebody, reach out, talk to somebody. Don't try to go through it alone. I don't know what happened with this young lady. I don't know what she was going through. I don't know any of the issues. I just know it's sad. And I don't mean to bring a downer to the end of our podcast here, but I just felt like I wanted to say something.
No, it's good you did, because we kind of talked about this a while back, because there's no reason to keep it inside. We all believe different things and all that, but at the end of the day, we're all human. And I know there's not a bone of hate in Travis Johnson's heart. I know there's not a bone of hate in mine. So if you got an issue, if you're feeling down and you don't, message the page.
Yeah.
Message the Big C Bigger T podcast. Me or Travis, either one will try to talk to you. We'll get, or if we don't know the answer, we'll get you with somebody who can.
Yeah. The main thing is,
I don't know who you are out there that's suffering, but your life's important to me, and it's important to Travis.
For sure. And it's so important that you talk to somebody, and that you talk to somebody that's not just that's going to speak truth to you, and that's going to care. And so just, man, call, like Clint said, message us. Look, I've been in the ministry for 20 something years, and I've done a lot of counseling and talking to people. I feel comfortable doing that. But I also know where my limitations are. And if it's something that I think you need more help with, I know lots of good people that are smarter than me to point you toward. And Clint does the same thing. So
I definitely know a lot of people smarter than you, Travis.
Yeah, good. Yeah. It doesn't take much, but anyway, I just want to say that. But once again, this has been a fun time, Clint. And
oh yeah, definitely has.
We're in a crazy world, and we need something to hold on to, and that's where good friends and good fun talk like this, and things that get our minds on other things and get us laughing, that's where they come in and are helpful. So y'all have a great week. Listen to my boy Sean Michelle as we go out. Hey, Clint, guess what?
What?
Kanye's got a new album coming out.
Ooh.
You excited about that?
I'm pumped. Kanye West is a genius.
He is a genius. He is a genius. I don't ever know when his stuff's coming out, though. He's kind of secretive. All right, y'all. Have a great week. God bless. Boom. And booyaka, 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 boo.
619.
Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come. Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come. Listen, that's why I sweat when I work. My hands get filthy down in this dirt. Won't see no harvest till I hurt. Crying your kingdom come. Listen, I wake up in the morning, I bow my head to pray. Mama told me if I don't, ain't nothing gonna change. These prayers breaking up hard ground so I can sow the seed. Ain't afraid of no aches and pain. Lord knows I gotta follow his lead. That's why I